Hey, it's one of the toughest decisions you'll make, trusting someone enough to come into your home and care for a loved one.
That's true. There's a system in place that's supposed to protect you, but a 41 Action News investigation uncovered a questionable caregiver slipping through the cracks.
Ryan, Kath is one family's shocking home care nightmare, and they're warning to others.
I love having that reminder of her big smile.
Lou Joris spent 40 years as a model in Kansas City, remaining ageless for decades.
She's 84 in this picture.
But gone are the smiles and the days of walking down the runway.
Here we go, Mom. 1, 2, 3.
A fast and unforgiving disease has stolen all of Lou's muscle movement, even her ability to speak.
I feel like now I'm her voice.
Her son Peter is now her round-the-clock caregiver.
Doing okay, Lulu?
When her condition worsened last summer, Peter needed to find someone who could help while he was at work. A family friend recommended Barb Lowski, who visited the house for an interview.
Telling me everything I wanted to hear, basically.
So she almost sounds perfect.
Yes, yes. That's exactly what she sounded like.
At first, Peter says he overlooked little red flags, but then...
When was the moment you knew?
I saw her wearing a shirt.
That shirt, a distinct Paris design Peter instantly recognized. He secretly took this photo and then rushed down to the basement where he'd spotted it a couple weeks earlier.
That's where the shirt was.
It was missing.
I thought, what in the world? Who is this woman? What else has she done in my house?
Peter then took this video of his mom, who could still see and understand everything going on around her.
If you saw Barb steal your things from the house, I want you to raise your chin up.
Peter eventually called police, who investigated Lowski's recent trips to pawn shops.
So all this is melted down.
One of the items sold for cash, his mother's 1941 class ring.
That really impacted me. It really made me feel violated for my mom.
But Peter's mom isn't alone. Last year, Lowski was a caregiver for Tilly McGann in KCK, hired through an agency before she had a criminal record. When family became suspicious, the owner of the agency placed hidden cameras in the home and caught Lowski red-handed. That Wyandotte County conviction was June 18th, the exact same time Lowski was working in Peter's home.
It wasn't even a speed bump to her. The fact that it didn't even faze her, it didn't stop her at all. Nothing stopped her.
And it doesn't end there. Even after the KCK arrest, 41 Action News discovered Lowski briefly worked with 2 different home care agencies. Background checks didn't detect the pending criminal case. A Leawood woman filed this complaint with the state after Lowski watched her elderly father, Harold Benson, for a weekend, apparently asking the full-time caregiver if there were any cameras in the house.
Financial abuse and exploitation is a growing issue.
Leslie Hale manages Adult Protective Services in Kansas. Bottom line, she says families need to do their homework. Hale recommends checking local court records, calling references, and searching state registries for abuse, neglect, and exploitation. Experts also recommend using a licensed caregiver agency because they should do all those things, and they have liability if something does go wrong.
A lot of people just think that if they do a KBI background check or criminal check, that's all they have to do. And there's really more to it than just that.
Our background check revealed yet another theft conviction from January in Johnson County, which means Lou Joris's case is now the 3rd felony charge against Lowski in the past year.
Ryan, Kath with Channel 41.
We tried to get some answers from her.
Why do you keep stealing from elderly people you're supposed to be taking care
I'm not
of?
going to answer that question.
Why do you keep doing that?
I'm getting help.
What kind of help?
Counseling?
Stealing family heirlooms and pawning it off for cash? How do you do that?
I don't know.
Why do you do it?
I'm not going to answer that.
Why didn't you learn your lesson after the first time?
I don't know.
Lowski didn't have a good explanation, leaving Peter to wonder about all the things his mom saw,
Doing okay, Mom?
but is unable to tell him.
She really victimized her and violated her, and that's something that just stays with you.
Lowski is scheduled in Jackson County Court next week, and after we started asking questions, Mark and Krista, Wyandotte County prosecutors tell me they are now looking at possibly revoking her probation for their case. So we'll, of course, keep everyone posted on both of those situations.
Well, please do. Definitely something to think about. It's such a trusting thing you do with family members.
So disturbing and violating. Oh, my goodness.
Heartbreaking for Peter and his mom, but an important story for him to share, and no doubt it's going to help other families.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. Let us know.
When was the last time you looked under your car? Tonight, 41 Action News investigator Ryan Kath shows us a hidden problem and explains why some car owners are demanding a recall.
Hey there, Krista. We're hearing a lot about recalls lately, but not in this case. Despite hundreds of driver complaints, there could be a lot of people on the road not knowing about a danger hiding right beneath their feet.
When it comes to caring for his car, Jeff Tallman likes to be in the driver's seat.
I always inspect the bottom of my car.
The Raytown Nissan owner doesn't just peek under the hood of his Altima. He likes to get his hands dirty.
This will all start flaking off.
So if anyone's going to catch something like this, it's someone like you.
I'll catch it.
Which is exactly how, during a routine oil change in November,
You can feel it soft right here.
Jeff spotted a big problem.
I'm walking along the bottom of the car, and I'm like, oh, wow.
Right under his driver and passenger seats, the floorboards were rusting from the inside out.
This is like about a 7-inch long area where it's actually rotted up here.
Stunning to a car owner who's pampered his 2002 Altima with 100,000 miles and a climate-controlled garage its entire life.
Tell me about your reaction.
Oh, I was very upset, very, very aggravated. You know, I thought it was, you know, this is very unsafe.
Jeff isn't the only one feeling a bit of road rage. Simply Google Nissan rust and you're treated to an endless slideshow of corroded metal.
Yeah, we have a 2006 Nissan Altima.
And then there are the YouTube videos. Nissan Altima owners sharing their stories
And see all the rust? That's where your feet go.
and showing the gaping holes in their floors. One guy even demonstrates his best Fred Flintstone impersonation. We found more than 400 complaints submitted to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or NHTSA, primarily model years 2002 to 2006.
That's a lot. That's a high number.
Auto safety expert Bill Williams says it's not just a rust belt problem. The complaints show up in states located far away from the snow and salt of harsh winters. He believes this issue can't be blamed on the weather.
It's an inside-out problem, which means it's a car problem.
The complaints read like a broken record. Consumers worry about their foot getting caught in the floor, exhaust fumes leaking inside, or their car's stability during a crash.
Does this pose a safety risk?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, it's a safety risk for not only carbon monoxide, but if you're in a frontal or a rear-end collision, that seat that's not being supported right could actually move.
But out of all those complaints we reviewed, there was only one reported injury, which might explain why Nissan told 41 Action News it has no recalls or service campaigns for the rust issue, and why NHTSA isn't taking any action either.
What does it take? Does it take somebody to die first?
It's a bitter pill for Jeff and others who filed complaints. Some of those Altimas had rust surface before even hitting 50,000 miles, and dozens of drivers said they could no longer pass state safety inspections.
You know what, Ryan? Most people don't get into their car to check their floorboards, do you?
Jeff wonders how many Nissan owners are unaware of a problem hiding right under their floor mat.
I got a feeling there are thousands of them out there, and there are probably people driving around with a giant hole here, don't have any idea that it's even there.
So Jeff is obviously hoping that people who see the story will check under their cars to see if they have the problem as well. Now, NHTSA, the government agency, typically only gets involved for safety-related defects, and rust usually doesn't qualify as one of those. But, of course, there are hundreds of Nissan owners who would disagree in this case. Investigator Ryan Kath, 41 Action News.
All right, thank you for that, Ryan. Now, right now on our website, you'll find an interactive map showing drivers' complaints across the country. Each one of those red dots will actually pull up a box and tell you the details about the vehicle involved and tell you where it is and what the complaint is about the rust. There's also a link on how you can file a complaint in case you're interested. We had a local body shop inspect the rust problem, and tomorrow on 41 Action News at 6, find out why a recall for this type of repair would be such a huge financial blow to Nissan. A high-ranking firefighter wrecks his department vehicle while he's off duty. And now, more than a year after the crash happened, 41 Action News investigator Ryan Kath uncovered his criminal case could get tossed out.
Krista, we've learned one judge's decision could affect the way drunk driving cases are investigated across the state of Kansas. And it could also allow an assistant fire chief to get away with it.
Saturday night, July 27, 2013. Assistant Fire Chief Mike Quinn zoomed through KCK in his department vehicle. Court records show he reached a speed of 78 miles per hour along South 55th Street, more than 45 over the speed limit. Just a few blocks from home, he lost control.
All I heard was a loud boom.
The collision jolted John Hayes off his couch.
Hit the curb, come down, hit that rock, and spun around, took the mailboxes completely out.
Hayes took us through the path of destruction, which included his antique pickup truck and several other vehicles. He says it could have been worse.
If that big rock wouldn't have been there, it would have went right through the window where I was sitting watching the 10 o'clock news.
Firefighters were first on the scene. They freed one of their own from the smashed-up department SUV and rushed him to the hospital. KCK police arrived next. In courtroom audio the 41 Action News investigators obtained, a captain later testified about what happened when they found out who was behind the wheel.
A lot of us know fire department employees, including Mr. Quinn, and we thought rather than give any appearance of impropriety, we'd have some outside investigative function look into it rather than us.
So police called in the Kansas Highway Patrol, but a trooper didn't show up until 2 hours after the crash. He then went to the hospital.
Captain Nicholson requested that I complete a blood draw on the subject involved.
There, the trooper says Quinn agreed to that blood alcohol test. Even 3 hours after the crash, court documents show the results came back over the legal limit, prompting the Wyandotte County District Attorney to charge the assistant fire chief with drunk driving. But the 41 Action News investigators discovered a key development in the case, one that could allow Quinn to walk away from a conviction. His defense attorney argued that blood test should be thrown out.
The trooper has to have some evidence that gets you to the probable cause that their alcohol or drugs was involved. So this has to be suppressed. It's not even close.
Even though Quinn consented to the blood test, his attorney argued the trooper violated his client's Fourth Amendment rights for unreasonable search and seizure. District Court Judge Aaron Roberts agreed.
Seems to me at this point, I think all the trooper knew that there was a wreck. I don't think that he knew whether Mr. Quinn swerved to avoid a dog or a child in the road.
The judge threw out the evidence.
Mr. Quinn, you're really lucky.
Ryan Kath with Channel 41. Okay.
Quinn declined to discuss the crash with us.
Are you able to talk about it?
I'd rather not. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Meantime, District Attorney Jerry Gorman is continuing the legal fight with an appeal.
It's never good to establish bad precedent.
The DA admits the case is unique because it involves a high-ranking city official, but he also says it could have a ripple effect across the state.
The ruling that the judge made in the case, we feel, first of all, was wrong, respectfully, but we think it also hampers other cases.
Back in the neighborhood, there are still signs of the crash more than a year later.
It's really my first antique I've had.
And neighbors are still dealing with the headache of replacing damaged property. To them, it feels like they're getting punished while the assistant fire chief drives away without consequences.
I'll be pissed because it's like I say, it's not fair at all.
Quinn never went back to work after the crash, retiring from his $103,000 salary. His estimated pension, about $11,000 per month. And on his way out, he cashed in unused vacation and sick time for another $125,000 payout. Meantime, you, the taxpayers, picked up the tab to replace that damaged property. We'll, of course, track that appeal process and let you know what happens. I'm Investigator Ryan Kath, 41 Action News.
The tickets pile up, but the drivers don't pay up. And now Kansas City says it's revving up enforcement to catch the top parking offenders. Investigator Ryan Kath first uncovered the problem 2 years ago, and he's live downtown now to explain how the city's finally cracking down to collect all that money.
Hey there, Krista. We're here at 12th and Grand. Especially in this area of downtown, we found drivers who ignore stacks of parking tickets and seem to get away with it. But the city is now saying that free ride is about to expire.
On 11th and Grand in downtown Kansas City, we weren't surprised to see this Dodge Avenger parked at an expired meter.
Is this your car?
And then we caught up with the driver, Ty Johnson.
You're right on the top of the list for the city of most parking tickets.
I don't have that many parking tickets. What are you talking about?
You got about 40 unpaid parking tickets.
No.
Okay, to be fair, it's 38 tickets. We checked them out and saw Ty's Dodge keeps getting tagged in this one square block outside her downtown apartment.
If you're going to have high rise and high lofts down here, you need to have a parking space for them.
There's nowhere to park if you live in the building here?
No, you gotta walk damn near 3 blocks down.
Ty is just one out of hundreds of Kansas City drivers with a list of excuses almost as long as their unpaid tickets. The 41 Action News investigators found more than 2,400 people have 3 or more parking warrants. That's thousands in taxpayer revenue uncollected. And it's not a new problem.
We need to talk to you.
About?
Parking tickets.
Yes, I live downtown and I have lots of them.
We noticed.
41 Action News first tracked down the city's top offenders in 2012.
To you, does it seem like anything's changed?
Nothing's changed. In fact, it's gotten worse.
Downtown attorney Dick Bryant can't believe with today's police technology of laptops and license plate readers, drivers keep getting tickets on windshields instead of more serious consequences.
The second or third time, they should know it's time to tow them or to boot them or do something.
The city says that's about to change. Coming soon, a letter to all the people on that list we showed you, warning them to pay up or else.
What do you think about that idea?
They're not going to pay. If they were going to pay, they would have paid tickets 1 through 59. It's a waste of resources, and that really is a waste of money.
We posed that question to Sean Demery with the city's Public Works Department.
Ultimately, it is never a waste of city resources to inform people how to do the right thing.
Some people might say, okay, if you've got 40 tickets piled up at home, what's going to make you respond to a letter?
Well, that is the point at which it's enforcement.
That enforcement technique is still being decided, and the city says it wants to double and triple check the list before the crackdown.
People say, well, why do you have so many parking tickets? I say, well, just because I park where I want.
If anyone has parking war stories to tell, it's Aaron Wendell.
Excuse me, Aaron?
Featured in our original investigation.
We're working on a story about unpaid parking tickets. Okay. We've got you on the top of the list.
On the top of the list again, huh?
Again?
Aaron now makes light of his notoriety, joking that he recently lost his championship streak.
How many do I need for first place?
But on a serious note, the reformed scofflaw doesn't think his name should be anywhere on the list. He says it's been years since he got a parking ticket, and the ones on the books date back to 2007 and 2008. Aaron says he had to settle those up after the city impounded his car 6 years ago.
I walked out of there with about a 70-foot long receipt that said I had paid.
His attorney vouches for the story, saying he spent several hours at municipal court to help clean the slate.
It makes me question how accurate the records would be.
So that's the vehicle I take downtown now.
So with that legal uncertainty, Aaron decided to play it safe, and he bought this school bus.
I got this because I heard that they were going to start towing people with 3 or more parking tickets. So I went ahead and bought this because I figured that they're not going to tow this, and they're not going to put a boot on it.
Kind of sounds like a dare, huh? Let the parking war begin. Court officials tell me they're looking into Aaron's claim about whether or not those tickets should still be on the books. And just in case you're curious about who's currently in first place, that would be a woman with, get this, 73 unpaid parking tickets. We're live downtown. Ryan, Kath, 41 Action News.
Your tax money paying for a renovated school building that is millions of dollars over budget.
Now, one expert told 41 Action News the awarding of a pricey contract also looks like a costly conflict of interest. Investigator Ryan Kath tracked down the people in charge to get answers.
And Mark, crews are racing to renovate this Hickman Mills building in time for the start of the school year. You can see all the work taking shape here. We've been digging into this project for months after getting a tip an inside deal could be in the works.
Mothballed for several years, this aging Hickman Mills school is about to be revived as a pre-K learning center. But before the kids walk through the doors, crews are gutting the building and upgrading all the energy equipment. Director of Facilities Steve Myers is in charge of the ambitious project. Early this year, an architect hired by the district recruited Smith & Boucher as a consultant.
And so what was Smith & Boucher's role in all this?
The engineering.
So are they essentially dictating the work that needs to be done?
Yeah, they're laying the scope of work. That's fair to say.
Smith & Boucher was guaranteed the design work, regardless of which company won the job. That company turned out to be NATAS.
This is the part where I've heard concern.
Okay.
You've got Smith & Boucher, who lays out the scope of work, and then NATAS gets the contract.
Okay.
Do you have a problem with that relationship?
Do I have a problem with that? I do not. NATAS is a performance contracting company totally independent of Smith & Boucher.
In its proposal, NATAS said it was very comfortable teaming with Smith & Boucher on the $4.2 million job. But that comfort level is closer than you might think. Check out the business filings for the companies. Smith & Boucher is owned by the same guys who own NATAS. In fact, they even share the same suite. We showed a photo of the office to Myers.
Do you have a problem with that?
I do not. They're two different businesses completely.
How does that not look like an inside deal?
I don't know. I mean, if they're working in the same location, I have no knowledge of that.
41 Action News also obtained this email showing NATAS received a draft of the qualification documents 10 days before the district released them to the public.
It just looks like it's steered that way from the get-go.
I can see the confusion, but the whole process has to go out and have everyone have the same opportunity.
But you only got one bid.
Yeah, that's true. And I can't control who bids on it.
Meantime, a request for similar work in the North Kansas City School District received responses from 6 companies. So why the difference? Myers says the district's tight construction timeline likely scared bidders away.
This is just grotesquely unethical.
But UMKC law professor and former financial regulator Bill Black says the single bid was a bad sign.
So that should have raised really big red flags for the district.
You need something beyond a red flag. It's an image now. This would be like the skull and crossbones.
It's clear some people saw the writing on the wall. We got our tip before the proposals were even due and had a camera at the meeting when the board approved the contract in March.
Motion carries 7-0.
That's where we learned one other surprising detail. Smith & Boucher highly recommended NATAS for the project.
How bad is this?
It's conflict of interest upon conflict of interest upon conflict of interest.
But Myers defended the district's process.
You weren't aware of it, but is that a problem?
No, it's not a concern at that point. If their track record was somewhat shaky, I guess it would look worse.
Representatives from NATAS and Smith & Boucher declined interview requests with us, but we met with them for more than an hour at their office. They told us they did disclose the relationship, pointing to this section in their 158-page proposal. NATAS is owned with common Smith & Boucher ownership. The owners insisted their consulting role provided no inside advantage on the project, and they denied ever recommending their own company. But remember, it's worded on the board document, was said in the meeting,
And has come highly recommended by Smith & Boucher.
and we asked about it several times.
You don't think Smith & Boucher was able to influence this at all?
You know, I did ask them for a recommendation as far as NATAS's track record, and they said it was good.
People are going to look at that and say either A, the district had the wool pulled over its eyes with the relationship, or B, someone's getting something out of this deal.
Okay. Neither one of those I would agree with.
How do you explain it then?
What's going to be got is a excellent facility that's going to service pre-K and kindergarten, so hopefully our district's the one that's going to be receiving something, no one else.
But the project comes with a growing price tag. The district budgeted $7.5 million for the entire project, not just the energy improvements we just told you about. But so far, costs have soared more than $2 million over that amount. We'll, of course, keep following the story for you. Investigative reporter Ryan Kath, 41 Action News.